a link that we can put out for the fake bookers in the ones on the Twitter. Where's my link? All right, K Green coming up. We're just going to load up the Zoom, and we'll have that Zoom call for you uploaded later. Until then, you can watch it live. Now, you just won't get to see her face for now. Okay. And I think I'm live. Okay, beautiful. So welcome aboard. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the subs. Thanks for the shares and the likes and the comments. It's been interesting. And we're getting an echo. There we are live. Let's fake book this. Practicing piano until the call. All right. K Green, there you are. All right, so welcome aboard, crew. Thanks for checking it out. Sorry about the show last night. I was not feeling it. I did not want to go, but I went anyway. And so I think my shows kind of suck, but that's my own thing. So Kay Green, we're going to talk about Landmark Forum. We're going to talk about her midlifing, the situation she finds herself in at her age now. And what else? Landmark Forum, looking good. Looking forward to getting reconnected with that. So let's make sure we've got a good connection here, and then we are a go. So thanks for tuning in. Share, like, comment below if you find it interesting, and then thanks for the subs. I started to go earlier, but I was unlisted. I forgot to make the. I always forget to make the. Not always. Many times I forget to make the link public, and then I do a whole show, and nobody watches. Nobody knows. Nobody even knows that I had the conversation. So here we go. K Green is my guest. I'm trying to get set up here. K. Unmute your speaker. You are using computer audio. Good. And I'm recording. That's good. And where's my date? Where's my interview? Where's Kay? Where'd she go? She's not there. I'm here. Where is Kay Green? She doesn't look like she's in the meeting. We're waiting on Kay Green. She's coming. In the meantime, tell me a story. We were set to go for 11 o'clock, so it would make sense if she wasn't ready until then. She said she was ready already at 10:30 or 10:45 or whatever it was. Where's my girl? Participants. It looks like I'm the only participant at the moment. Almost need to. I don't edit these things, so you're going to see a little bit of this before K comes on. Guess I got to go off airplane mode to deliver these messages. And maybe that TV in the background is more of a distraction than anything right at the moment. We were using it last night. We used it last night. Actually, I'm live. I'm live right now, actually. I'm just waiting for an interview at 11 o'clock. Just waiting for my guest to come into the...
Okay, well, I'll be very quick. I was on the phone with Bell all morning. Something happened with my telephone number, but got all fucked up. But anyway, I was ready to come on your program last night.
Sure, you were. I know you were, Pat.
No, I'm not joking. I was ready to go.
Yeah.
Turned it on, and then I see 47 minutes, 22 seconds.
Yeah, I was already done.
I know.
So I go live at 7.
I didn't know. Fuck, you only mailed in half a program.
I was on for 47 minutes. It's almost an hour.
Jesus, man. I thought you went for 2.
I was going to try and go for 2, but I was not feeling myself yesterday. I even called you for inspiration, but you wouldn't take my call, so I'm just left out here flailing on my own. Today I thought I could fit in a couple errands before my show, and then I got way behind, man, and now I'm a little frazzled, and I forgot to put my call. I forgot to go call. Well, I didn't forget to go airplane mode, but I had to go back. Had to turn airplane mode off so that I could send this girl a message, and then you called me immediately. Got me.
It's kind of karmic.
Yeah, you think?
I was going to call a girl, and then you go call me. You big homo.
These are my friends. All right, brother. I'll catch up with you later. All right.
You got stuff going on.
All right. Peace out. Ciao. Those are my friends. So we call them friends? You big homo. He meant homo sapien, by the way, because my friends don't use homophobic slurs like that. Okay, Kay Green's coming up. Where are you, Kay? Thursday nights we're going live at 7 o'clock. Every Thursday, 7 o'clock before Crowder at 8, before McInnes at 9. And we're going to try and bring you a better quality show. Oh, here she comes. All right, here's Kay Green. Hi, Kay Green. Can you hear me all right? Oh, no.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, hang on. I'm getting a little bit of a echo.
Yeah, it's the same on my end. Hang on. What can we do to fix that?
I don't know if it'll come through on the recording, but yeah, I'm hearing myself
It is
come
coming
back.
through. Okay, let me try and rejoin again.
Okay.
See if that. Okay.
There she was gone. It's my end that's kicking back a echo. Yeah, it seems like my end is kicking back an echo. Yeah, definitely. I wonder why. I haven't changed anything that I know of, settings-wise. Oh, this is not good. I can't deal with the...
We've got a breakdown, Jim.
Oh, no. What am I going to do here? Because that is not how I want it. Insight camera. Video settings. Sugar. Same as system. Built-in internal microphone. Let's see this. Trying the internal microphone now. See if it makes a difference. Nope. Same as system. That's all I'm doing. Uh-huh. We have a breakdown. I was talking to the guys at Landmark the other day and told them when I did my course leader support that one time I failed and they took me off the detail.
Yes.
And man, did I learn a lot about myself then. And dude says I almost go into everything now thinking I should be failing first because when I nail it, I never learn a thing.
That is a powerful concept.
Okay.
So what are we going to learn right now?
I don't know what I'm
This call.
I'm not sure what I'm designed to learn, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the meeting. I'm going to create a new link. I'll Facebook it to you, and then I'm going to check all my settings. So it'll take me a few minutes, and then I'll try and come back. All right.
I'll
Talk
stay
soon.
at my desk then.
All right. Ciao.
All right.
I can't go on with that. What? Why is it still going? Okay, so we got to figure out what's going on here. Maybe. Oh, did I have the YouTube in the background? Fucking dummy. Maybe that was it. I got to stop calling myself a fucking dummy. Okay, maybe I'll just try and go back into that old link. Start. Check 1, 2. Yes, I am using my computer audio. Oh, I couldn't get warm today. Now I can't cool down. I'm freaking out. K Green coming up as soon as we sort our issues. Actually, it's 11:01 now, so we're pretty much on time. Tick tock, tick tock, man. It's brutal. I did have that same echo for another one of my interviews that I had on Zoom. I can't remember if I just gutted it out or what happened, how we solved the problem, but we're working on it. And I'm just going to communicate with Kay to give us another try on the same meeting link. Man, is my computer slow. Happy Valentine's Day. Jeez, my thing is just like molasses and minus 14 like it is today. Wow, I've never seen my computer so slow. Isn't that always the way? We got a breakdown, she says. Coffee will make me sweat. What the piss is going on here? All right. Sorry for the technical difficulty. Sorry is a sorry way of being. Everything's landmark today. Here comes Kay Green. Ding dong. There you are. I think I had YouTube in the background playing or something ridiculous. I can't hear you now. Oh, there you go. Okay, perfect.
Yep.
All right.
Are we ready?
We
Adjust this angle so there's more of my head in there.
Yes. What's going on, Kay Green? It's been a long time, and I forgot ever referring to you as Coach. Where did that?
I don't know when that happened.
Where did that come from?
I have no idea. And I wonder if it was when you were running for the green leadership.
Is
The
that
conversations
when we?
had.
Yeah. Okay. Is that when we had the most interaction together in 06?
06, yes. I ran that year in that election. That was the only time I ran.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we did have a lot of interaction that year.
Okay, so that was the first year as a Green candidate under the leadership of Elizabeth May. That was after her election, right? Or
before.
Oh, it was under Jim Harris
Yep,
then.
yep, that was his last
Oh,
one.
because then I came
Yep.
back and ran in '08 as
Yes.
well.
Yep.
What an idiot. Okay, just for our listeners and for anyone that's watching live, I'm going to put up a Zoom call later so they can see you. Right now, they're just
Okay.
looking at me and hearing you.
Good.
I'll put up that
I'm
video.
more comfortable with that.
Oh no, you'll be up later. 7:00 tonight. I'll have it up. I'll premiere it tonight on YouTube at 7:00 so they can see your pretty face. And I appreciate your time. Just introduce yourself. You don't have to start at the beginning, but take as long as you need to kind of fully self-express yourself. I guess you don't. I guess you don't need to say fully self-express. You just stop there. You don't have to say yourself after that.
You're just self-expressed.
Overly self-expressed.
So I am Kay Green, and it's funny. I'm probably going to talk right now probably about the context we've known each other over the years, because any human being, there's so much. But I was thinking about it, Jim, and actually you're an omen to me.
Omen, that means like
you are an omen.
Like the devil?
No, that's a demon.
I'm thinking of the movie Omen.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't Damien the Omen? He was the devil, right?
I don't know. I didn't watch that.
Probably better not to.
But it's funny. Our paths have crossed so many times over the years. But it's like, for me, when the Jim Fannon crosses my path,
wow,
I know some huge shift is going to happen.
Wow, really?
So, yeah. So.
Well, let's just talk about me then.
So when I saw your post the other day, I was actually excited. This is what I was thinking. It's like, ooh, the Jim Fannon
Here I am.
crossing my path, so I'm going to engage in this conversation.
Cool. I'm glad you did.
And yeah, the first time was you were actually at the bar the same night I met my ex-husband.
Okay.
And my life radically altered after that.
What bar?
And then the next time was before the 06, and it was in the context of politics. It was at some green event down in Port Dalhousie. I know I'd been already nominated by, as the candidate for the Niagara Falls riding at that point, but running in that election, and that was really the jumping off point for me for a lot of the things that I did in community in Niagara, and I loved that period of my life. So right now I'm, 46, and, I was talking to you about, midlife has really been different than I expected. And, if you asked me where I was going to be at 46, when I turned 40, this is not where I thought I was going to be. I figured midlife was going to be this gradual progression of the way things were. It was going to be, I'm wise now, it's going to be easy. But in those 6 years, since I turned to 40, left Fort Erie, sold our house. My family and I traveled for 2 years around the world, visited 28 countries on 5 different continents. And at the end of it, my ex-husband and I decided, it's time for us to part ways. And so I ended up landing in London, Ontario, which is where I am now. And it's been a whole new life. I do not recognize life right now, compared to what it was at 40. And I think I used the phrase, it's been kicking my ass. This is not a bad thing. I respect those people who are willing to kick my ass, and life has been kicking my ass. I'm not sure where I'm supposed to fully end up at this point. I'm still in the middle of it, but I think that's a lot of what midlife is. So I don't know if that's given the context of who I am.
No, I appreciate that, and feel free to, again, fully self-express. I don't know how I keep going down this dead end.
Be self-express. How's that?
Because and I appreciate your thoughts, and I want to know more about that as well. And let me just tell you a little bit about how this is coming full circle for me. So
beautiful.
I have been recently very frustrated by my by my political shift. I don't believe what I believed when I was 24 years old. I'm not a left-wing, ideologically possessed. I'm not that guy anymore. I'm not the robot that went out and marched out, and I don't want to get into a debate on this, but choice. You know, I had I stood as a Green candidate and said that women's right to choose was something I was in favor of because I was representing a party. But when I started, I was 24 years old, not realizing that until 50 or so, I had never really had an in-depth debate or discussion about it, about all the ramifications of it. And I ended up realizing I'm not cool with it. I'm not cool with especially late-term abortion now. And then it took a shift. Free speech for me is a huge thing. When Gillette did their ad, I was triggered, angry, not threatened, but yes, I felt masculinity had been attacked, and I'm tired of it, and I won't stand for it. And I always have been that guy that won't stand for it. And so I'm in a new place too. And then I listen to Tim Pool quite often. I like Tim because he's a natural lefty, like I still am, except the left kind of left me, is how I say it. Like Dave Rubin says, I didn't leave the left left me, because they've just become too too far left. Like we don't need 75 bathrooms. And again, I don't want to dissect all these, the transgender, all this kind of stuff. That's not my point here. But when I was listening to Tim Pool the other day, he's got a new channel, IRL, and the censorship has been just baffling me. And it only seems to be very politically motivated. So the right conservatives are the ones getting banned, it seems like. The Alex Joneses and they tried to get Steven Crowder off the air, and Gavin McInnes, which I think is just the sweetest, most funny guy. Yeah, he still talks like we used to on the playground. I don't mean in high school. I mean in elementary school when a racist slur meant nothing. And everyone got them, and everything was, your mother was on the table. Everything was, no one was ever offended or hurt or went home. Oh, maybe we got our feelings hurt. Yeah, we all did. So I was watching Tim Pool the other day, which I really appreciate because he's a lefty, but he's objective enough to call out the left. And he's disillusioned with it as well, as far as like, these people are crazy. What do you mean Medicare for everyone? How are you going to pay for that in the States? It's a huge question, right? So although I am still a lefty, I still believe in, tax pollution, carbon fee and dividend, not the carbon tax. So as it relates to politics, but the other issues, free speech, don't mess with my guns, censorship, the 75 genders issue, like just disregarding basic biological or science, it's had a hard time. I mean, anyways, I was watching Tim Pool the other day, and they had on a guy named Jack Murphy. Well, Jack Murphy, and this is so cool because I just 2 days ago was introduced to Jack Murphy, probably 2 days after I booked a call with you, and you said, hey, midlife's kicking my ass. And I'm like, well, I don't consider myself midlifing right now at 51 because I don't have the family and the wife and the kids and all that. I still, strangely enough, kind of see myself getting there. I'm still like, I could still have a kid, and I want desperately to have a woman and a partner in my life that I trust and that we can build a future together and stuff like that. So it's not out of the question. I just been jerking around and wasting time with whatever, learning my lessons maybe. So Jack Murphy is on with Tim Pool, and they start talking about the liminal order. Well, I'm not even familiar with what liminal means, okay? So I looked it up, and from all I can tell, it means, in his context, a transition. And what he's made, so he was, his marriage broke down.
Yep.
Then he found that life had completely changed. Dating had changed. Women had changed. The way you approach women had changed. Men had changed. Life had changed since he was, in this box of marriage, and he didn't have to worry about it. Then he's a Trump supporter. So his ideological bent, as far as conservatism in the States, got him doxxed. They publicly put his email and his address. They sent letters to the Little League that he coached in. His kids were tormented at school. And now he said, like, I have to learn it all over again. And I'm like, hey, this is so cool. Now he has he has this group called the Liminal Order, and it's only a men's group, right? And from what I can see, so I haven't been invited to it, and I'm not sure that I ever will. I think they screen their candidates that they invite into this, and from what I can tell, it's a group of guys that are going to support each other and help each other to be better so they can go out into the world and make a powerful difference to make the world better for everyone. The idea is masculinity is taking a massive shot, and that leadership and that eldership for both boys and girls is really important. You know, in the States, 85% of the black community are fatherlessness. And I think it's the number one issue facing us the number one issue for me is don't try and tell me what I can say and what I can't say. Don't put me in jail for making a racist, even if I call hate on someone or I say fire in a crowded, no. You let me say whatever I'm an absolutist almost when it comes to it, because now we see I'm blathering a little bit. But Ezra Levant of Rebel News now is being stopped from asking protesters questions because the cops say it could be an incitement to violence, so we're going to prevent you from committing a criminal act. What? I'm crazy pulling my hair out. So this liminal order, it comes back to, here's a guy that had to learn it all over again. And so when you said midlife is kicking my ass, I went, oh, this is crazy spooky. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation because I've been disconnected from Landmark for 10 years. I didn't know that, but I took it into 03. And then with my girlfriend at the time, I thought, what a great experience this would be. So we went and got a hotel together, and it was a nightmare. She resisted all the way through, and I was so hopeful. And, I only know 2 people that have ever taken the Landmark Forum that got absolutely nothing out of it, and she was one of them. Anybody else that I've ever experienced had this transformational shift of epic proportions. And so I've been in contact with Landmark. I'm excited to go back with you on the 18th. Thank you. I really appreciate even the ability to ride up with you is really great. And I'm looking into doing another CSL or CLS, course leader support, for them at some point when I can figure out, what exactly I'm doing, because I'm just not banging houses like I used to, and it's been too long for me as far as income, lack of income or sporadic income or whatever. And, it's time to shift it. So it's strange how it all comes around, and maybe I'm not as good at noticing or recognizing omens, but maybe you're one for me too, because I don't know who came up or what possessed me to say, finish this statement. And there's not many people that probably understand it or could finish it, but the possibility that I've invented for myself and my life is the possibility of inspiring, powerful leadership. If you look at my social media, you'll have to go back years to find anything that has a scent of inspiring, powerful leadership.
Got it.
I'm very angry on social media. I always tell people, listen, it's not me on social media. Yeah, I run the account, but it's not a human being. To me, it's a comedian, and it's an angry freaking comedian too. Yeah. So it's strange how it all comes together, but I'm looking forward to going up on the 18th with you, and then digging into some of the results and some of the breakthroughs that you've been getting in that context. So maybe you could just lead into a little bit of about where you are with that right now.
Sure, absolutely. Well, the first time, for me that I participated in the Landmark Forum was almost 20 years ago. It was June of 2000. And, you'll always remember that person who introduced you to it. And for me, it was Julie, and she and I worked together downtown Toronto at the time. And she was a difficult person to work with. I mean, half my day was spent kind of managing what Julie had done.
Okay, so who's Julie to you?
Julie is she was a coworker, but seriously, she was an unbelievable stand for me doing this work. She went away, she did the work, and
it was important to her.
It's a weekend. Mm-hmm. Friday End of the week, she left. Monday morning, she came back, and she was this amazing person to work with that inspired all of us. And it took me it took me a while, before I agreed to going. But she was this consistent saying that I do this work, and to her, I am so grateful
Amen.
for the difference, that it made in my life. Because at that time, there'd been all this stuff. My dad had died, my uncle had died, I was engaged, and, that fell apart. It was like all of the men that were important to me in my life were gone. And the only thing that was working for me at that point was my career. So, of course, I go in, oh, I'm going to have a breakthrough in my career, and ultimately I did, but it was all this other stuff that I saw. And I was not at that time, front row, engaged in things kind of person. I was back of the room, not participating. It's like, oh, yeah, maybe it'll make a difference.
That's
yeah.
me.
So I'm there, not doing the work even fully.
At the forum?
And at the forum.
Oh, you
the
weren't
first
even fully
time-
participating in the forum.
Oh, no, I was sitting there. And then all of a sudden on the Saturday night, there was this exercise fear.
Oh.
Of fear. And I was sitting there and I was present to it. I was just, and the forum leader said something about, there was a time when you felt this and you said, I will never feel this again. Wow. The moment you said that, a part of you died, and it just hit me. And then it was like all of a sudden, boom, 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 boom. I found myself in my car driving back to Niagara to find this guy that, had broken up with me because I was so scared of feeling hurt, by the men, that had left and I'd lost. I was so present to that and, couldn't find him, but I was unstoppable, that night. Like, it's like 2:00 in the morning. I'm at his parents' house, phoning his parents, trying to find out where he is. Like, this is not BK Green that existed, before I walked in that door. Couldn't find him, left a note in his mailbox. And, by the time I got back to my apartment in Toronto, my phone was ringing. And, that's the guy I married. That's the guy that I had 2 beautiful children with, traveled the world with. My life radically altered because I was willing, to really, really recognize just how much I was shutting off by being afraid of being hurt. So that was round 1. And, I participated for many years. Lots of courses and the seminars I love because, you go over 10 weeks and you're working on different distinctions and it becomes the context for your life, and I have these, like, I remember getting pregnant, during a seminar, running for office, during another seminar, community projects. These are the things that I brought to the seminar and I worked on in my life, and it was like building muscles all the time. But this last time, I ended up in London, as I said, after we finished traveling. And for me, it was kind of a time of exploration. But I was kind of floating around, and I didn't leave my marriage because I wanted someone else. That was not it, But I met somebody else, and, we met, and it was one of those things. We had coffee early afternoon. We ended up going out for drinks that night. And by the end of 1 week, I think we'd seen each other like 10 times. And so it was just, I started to see something being possible with this person. And, when you start seeing something possible, what shows up? It's like, oh my gosh, all this stuff that's in the way. And I became really aware there's a lot I got to complete, powerfully with my marriage now that it's ended so that both, my ex-husband and I can move forward. And for me, the quickest way that I know to get complete on something, to see what I can't see what's in my blind spots, is to participate in the Landmark Forum. So without even thinking about it, really, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this. So I did it again in November. And with the commitment to really powerfully completing, my marriage. And that's what we did. The Sunday night of the forum, my ex-husband is there, my daughter's there, and the conversations we had throughout that weekend about, who we were to each other, who we were going to be for each other. in the future, we had those conversations, and it was a stepping away with freedom, a stepping away with power, and a stepping away really being present to what we had done, to get how beautiful all of it had been, and what was going to be possible for both of us in the future. So that's what started me on this journey again. But it's funny, because I've been doing this work for years, and you have to confront. I started a seminar after that, and it's like, whoa, you know, we can be really arrogant about, what we've done in the past and kind of sit on that. So it's really shaken me up and looking at, what do I want to create now? What do I want that future to be like? And, I kind of downplay some of the stuff that I've looked at, but I actually started taking piano lessons again. I I stopped playing piano when I was 20, and I was quite accomplished at that point. But I'd had a biking accident, which resulted in a head injury, and I just couldn't connect with the music anymore, and I hated playing, so I stopped.
Wow.
And like it was grade 8 RCM. I was accomplished at that point and just gave it up. And when as I've been exploring, it's funny because I've done all these amazing things. Like my bucket list did not have anything on it other than, being a rock star. And it was funny. I'd had this conversation, with one of my teammates, and he was talking about, yeah, I've always wanted to be a rock star. And it's like, let's give this a shot. Not that, a rock star is the thing, but it's a place to start, And it was confronting, but the perfect teacher appeared, here in London. It's so funny. I came to this city because I wanted to be anonymous, and I started volunteering at the Grand, and the person who interviewed me there, she was actually the flower girl at my parents' wedding, and the perfect teacher, perfect piano teacher for me. So I've been working with her, and, there's so much from just that I've been getting, about the discipline of daily doing the work, and confronting, those things you're scared to do. Like I'm terrified of performing, I see myself where I was, and I know I'm not there, but what's missing? It's doing the work. And that's a lot of what Landmark is about too. A lot of times, we're afraid to do the work, or we're not willing to do the work, and doing the work makes a difference.
Okay, so just quickly, if I leave the screen here, just keep talking
Yeah.
because I'm just checking. But tell me just quickly, what was the fear exercise, and then expand on the work a little bit more.
The work, the fear exercise.
Is that the one when you stand and you stare into someone's eyes
Oh,
real close?
No,
Okay.
no, I think that's in the advanced course
Yeah.
that you do.
Oh, that is
But the
nuts.
fear exercise in the forum, you're sitting in the room, and you've got your eyes closed, and
Oh, it's coming back to me now.
yeah, the forum leader is really, he or she is saying a whole bunch of things to get
He's
you
coaching
present to
you.
what
Coaching you
What?
into getting to a place where you're afraid of.
Yes, the person on either side of you is really where they're trying to get you to, and really getting present to how what that experience is like, and really that is our experience. We're afraid of that person on our left, we're afraid of that person on our right, and yeah, it takes a bit, and it's dark, and it's quiet, and it's icky feeling, and I shouldn't give it away, but
No.
kind of the joke at the end is you realize that person on your right and that person on your left, they're
Are
just
afraid
as
of you.
afraid of you as you are.
And
of them.
so much of that Landmark, those distinctions end up
Yes.
crashing on you. Like
Yes.
like
Yeah.
like you were standing still on the beach and a wave just completely
Yeah.
there's no way to get out from underneath that type of
Right.
that
Right.
that aha moment, or when you pop, as they say in
Yeah.
Landmark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. And then
And
the work.
go ahead.
The work.
Yes, the work. Well, like as I said, my first experience of doing the forum, I did not do the work, the first 2 days. I expected it to happen to me. And, that's kind of a default thing, for a lot of us. We think, oh, yeah, we're going to sit there and, magically. And
I'm gonna
sometimes
pop.
that does happen.
Mhm.
But, most of the time when things actually happen in our lives, it's because we show up. We go. we do the work, and we do the work with a commitment. You know, this is what I want. You know, this is what I'm standing for, and then we act align with it. We do what's required. That's how we make the difference. But through the forum, a lot of the work is actually having conversations. How during the breaks you have to get on the phone and have those calls, with your parents, with the people that you're incomplete with, those sorts of things. And a lot of that work, in the context of Landmark, is having conversations. It's having enrollment conversations is what they're called. And I know,
Mm-hmm.
I love, because you use those words all the time, but enrollment is causing a possibility to be present for another such that they are touched, moved, and inspired. And those are the conversations that make a difference. Like you talked before about your possibility of inspiring, powerful leadership. And there was a time in your life where that really lit you up. That's what drove everything. That was who you were in the world. And you got up in the morning and who am I going to be? I am inspiring powerful leadership. And everything that you did was within that. Powerful leadership was a huge possibility for me for years. And, that is what caused me to be who I was in community, caused me, to be who I was in my family, in politics, in my works. And it's not my default. My default is small, under the radar, anonymous, stay in bed, curl up and read, don't engage with the world. But, with that possibility out there of powerful leadership, it gives me different ways of being. And, now I'm playing with the possibility of power, fun, and connection. And there's so much that's become available for me. Like I can make stuff really serious and significant, and I can be really scary, really scary when I do that. So, having that possibility of fun, it gives me new ways of being that I haven't had available before, and how I interact with my daughter. My daughter's a teenager and she's amazing. Like, I have just been gifted with these great kids, but they challenge me. But she and we have so much fun, when we banter back and forth. And she refers to me as sometimes as the most inappropriate mother ever. And sometimes I am, but, but I can be with that, in the context of power, fun, and connection, So
Yeah, all those conversations led me back to my act, which I'm always present to my possibility. And you're right, it's been a long time since I've been connected to it, and it's been a long time since I focused on that as a way of being, honoring my word, and being that all the time for everyone else and myself. And then my act. You know how long it took me to get my possibility? Months. When I watched the City Slickers with Billy Crystal, there's a scene where Billy Crystal says, "Hey, what was the best memory of your life?" Well, you can quote my marriage, you can quote the day my children were born, you can say I remember, hey, and I was stumped because I don't have those things in my life. I don't remember the first time I drove. I don't remember the first time I went to a bar. I don't remember anything significant that normal people would say, hey, that was a great day in my life. I turned 21. My kid was born. I got married. My wife walking down the aisle. I don't know. And I was, for months, in this question. And then completely depressed by the fact that I had to search for so long because I had a list of nightmares that I could give you. The worst days of my life were not difficult to pinpoint. So then I kept coming back to what's wrong with me? Like, who am I? Who have I become? Or have all the choices that I've made in my life led me to a point of what? Nothing? So then when they asked me to, whole and complete comes, I think everyone gets that one first. I want to be whole and complete. Boring. And you saw one of my friends that was in the thread the other day, and I'm just me. I thought about saying it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to say it because I like saying stuff. I'm like, oh, geez, that's boring. What a boring possibility. It felt bad, but he's like, hey, that's who I am, right? It was Leighton. and he plays piano as well, Paul Layton. And then it was the same thing about my possibility. I couldn't come up with something that fired me up. And then it's weird because you remember where you were when the planes hit the tower. Well, I remember that too, but I also remember where I was when the lightning bolt of my inspiring powerful leadership came to me.
Okay.
I was sitting on Welland Avenue facing the QEW, about to go under at that light at the service road, go under under the highway, under the overpass, and it hit me again like a wave or like a bolt of lightning. I was like, wow, I got it. I popped right there. And for a long time I lived in that, and for a long time now I've given it up. I think I've let my act take over, and I had no problem, I don't think, describing my act. My act
Tell me
is
about that.
I'm pretty sure my act is it doesn't matter and I don't care. Which is such a lie, because everything matters, and because I know that I have some friends that don't read the paper, couldn't tell you who AOC is. Like, if I ever meet a girl and they say, well, what do you do for fun? And I say, well, I troll AOC, and they say, who's AOC? I'm like, check. Because you want somebody, like for me, I want somebody that's, like, I realized now at this age of my life, I'm Christian, and I think that dating someone that doesn't believe is a waste of my time.
Got it.
Okay?
Got it.
I want somebody that at least has the faith as a common foundation.
Got it.
And so the lie that I created that gets me off everything is it doesn't matter and I don't care. And I ran up against it last night at 7:00. I've been committed to going live on YouTube. I had this growth on the YouTube channel for whatever reason. I've been working. It's a 10-year-old YouTube channel. I worked from, in the last 2 years, I worked from 50 subs to 200 subs, and that was an accomplishment for me. And I never thought I'd get monetized. And then, it happened overnight.
Oh my goodness.
I'm at 1.5 million views total now. I have one video that just broke 500,000 views. I'm monetized. I've probably 4,300 subs. I've cashed 2 very small checks from Google. I'm hopefully like next month is where I had all my action. I'm expecting a half decently sized check this month. I never thought it would happen. And so last night, once I got monetized, I said, once I get monetized, I'm going to go live at 7:00 on YouTube. The Facebook Live, everyone can do it. And I actually feel like too many people think they know me on Facebook. So my vulnerability out there is much greater than it is on Twitter, where I have double the followers, but I feel like no one knows me. And if you say to me, oh, Jimmy, I thought I knew you, I'm still attached to the meaning that I insert into your comment. Because we shared an experience, because I like you, I want you to like me. And if you ever say, well, yeah, I made a video called Fuck Gillette because I was really pissed off that they were trashing masculinity. And I had so many of the people that I know and love, maybe not as well as they think they know me, come or say to me on Twitter or publicly comment in the link going, geez, I really thought I knew you. What has become of you? And that hurts. So now when I go live, I don't go live on Facebook because I haven't reached the point where where I can just say, forget about it. Because if you say forget about it to the haters, you also have to say, I forget about it to the ones that give you props and praise and love. If you're not going to care, you can't care about either one of them.
Right.
And so I realized that, and I ran up against this last night. Who really cares if I skip a night? Like, really, I don't feel like it today. I don't feel like I'm not wound up passionately. I'm not ready to go. And I'm going to suck. And you know what? No one really cares. So it's just easier for me to take a nap or do whatever it is and not have any cameras rolling. And I actually looked for inspiration. I called a few of my peeps, and I was like, sometimes somebody can say something and it just puts it in my head. And I'm like, oh, that's 2 hours of content now, because my fear is I'm going to turn the camera on. I'm going to have nothing to say. If I have
okay.
if I have an interview, then that's no problem because I can talk, and,
Yeah.
and ideas come. But the lie that I had created for myself in my act was, it doesn't matter and I don't care. And I was stuck there last night.
Got it.
And then I went
it.
anyways. And it was maybe one of the worst shows I've ever done, but I did it. And
Yes.
and maybe I look
Showed
back
up.
at it later
Did the
and I
work.
go, it wasn't that bad. And I've been talking about this conversation for a couple days on every time I do go live, because it's important to me. So I appreciate the time and you coming back. I don't know why I put that out there. There was a trigger of some sort, and I was so grateful because many of my lefty friends, which I would put you in that category, honestly don't recognize me anymore, or think
Yeah.
I've changed in a way that they can't understand. And if I say, well, at least Trump's really got on that illegal immigration, it's down 75% over the last year, they're like, well, you're racist. No, I'm not. I just don't want people crossing illegally into my country, or even the one next to me. Like, you can't even give the guy props on a certain thing that he's done successfully without this. And I'm so grateful for Trump, because I think he's brought this conversation to us. What he said on the bus, what he said about Mexicans coming across the border. There was cages under Obama. There was kids in cages under Obama. And for we weren't talking about immigration then. But
No,
because
yeah.
Trump comes in and he wants to build this wall, and it's controversial, and there's lots of people that push back against it, now we're talking about the immigrants and, sanctuary cities and all this kind of stuff. So I see him as a blessing. And all I did when he came in, all I did was say, I am not going to, one, waste any of my hate where it's placed right now, because I've tried to get rid of it. It just, I'm human, right? I've
Yeah.
acknowledged that there's going to be a certain level of hate that exists all the time for me.
Yeah.
But I can move it around and I can increase it. I'm trying to dilute it and repress it, or push it down, or eliminate it if I could. And the only deal I made for Trump before he was, I didn't think he would make it to inauguration. I thought someone would take him out, and that's crazy. But here he is. I just said, I'm not going to hate. I'm not going to waste my hate on him. I'm not going to generate any new hate, and I'm not going to, because I experienced that with Stephen Harper.
Okay.
I couldn't look at him with going, there were so many things. And maybe hate's a strong word. My mother always used to say that. So, and now I can look at Trump objectively, and I can look at him and say, well, I find him funny. I know there's a lot of people that don't. So that's a little bit about where my shift has come up. But this idea that my act is, it doesn't matter and I don't care, gets me off of responsibility of almost anything I need to be released from.
Yeah, and that's powerful. Powerful to be able to see that, because when you could see it, then it's there. Like, it's not longer in your blind spot. You can actually do something about it. And you're talking about something that I'm really present to in what you've just said, Jim, is about how, as human beings, we're shying away from from difficult conversations. Because
definitely.
people don't agree with us, and we don't want to hear what they have to say. And in particular, you brought up what was going on down at the Mexican border with the separation of families. For me, that was a very, very personal thing. I actually, while I was traveling, I did a contract with UNHCR on just that, immigration detention and alternatives to detention.
Yep.
And when everything blew up down there, when this all came into the media, I was actually crossing that border with my family. And I was so present to, whoa, I've got the right passport. My kids look the right way. My experience is so different, from these other kids. And it broke my heart, knowing that these kids are being separated. And you're right. This has been going on forever, and it's not something we've been talking about. And no, none of this is pleasant, and there's stuff going on all over the world that, doesn't work. It doesn't work for those kids. And you and I are going to see this completely differently, but both of us have to be engaged in that conversation if we're actually going to create a world that works. People who view things differently are going to have to be able to sit down and not see each other because they view things differently as the enemy, but really as a partner in making something that works. So, and we're not good at that. We are not good at that as human beings.
Mhm.
We'd rather see things the way we want to see them and not listen.
Mhm.
But so, you're talking about fatherless kids, fathers being present. I think it's these conversations missing that are really what's breaking it down. We aren't engaging in these conversations. We're scared of people. We hate people. Hate is there in a lot of our conversations.
And that's what's frustrating for me, because I see the Trump in me. I see and accept that is part of my nature, to be like Trump is. Okay. And so, and I see also the ignorance of a Madonna at a women's march standing at the lectern and saying, I think about bombing the White House every day. And she doesn't get, she's pulling a Trump. Like when I'm pulling a Trump, I get it. And sometimes it's in an act and a performance or a bit. I've been doing these bits where I've been working on, because I realized some of these bits, some of these stories they're little comedy bits. They can make someone laugh. And what's more important? And great segue. I'm glad you led me down this path. I wonder, and you don't have to have all the answers right now, but for the thinkers, I like to ask this question. What do you think the top 3 conversations are that we're not having, or having badly, that need to actually happen to move us forward? And I set this discussion with the ground rules of, we're more tolerant, we're more accepting, we're more progressive, we're healthier, we have more information, we're richer. There's no one starving in the world right now unless it's under political oppression. We've never been in a better place.
Yeah.
But it can always be better, and we've got some serious, serious issues. One, I think of the opioid problem. I think about the mentorship or the eldership that's lost with our youth, both men and women. But I think men are feeling it more because men were taken out of the family first. They were put into the Industrial Revolution. Welfare recipients couldn't have a man in the house, and now 85% of the black families in the States are fatherless. And I think that's a huge. So I've got my top three. I think free speech for me is number 1. We have to have a conversation around censorship, and then number 2, I think is for me has got to be fatherlessness. And then I think there's a religious conversation we need to have. Can we be sure that Christians, Jews, and Arabs, or I shouldn't say Arabs, Muslims, can coexist? Like, can we come to an agreement where, okay, the Quran might say some crazy stuff, but we're not fearful of being pushed into the ocean and eliminated? Like, we need to have a conversation where we can, and we've got all kinds of capital punishment, abortion. There's all kinds of issues that we can talk about, but there's a bunch of conversations that we're having badly or not having at all that we really need to have fleshed out. Now, when people are going to go, no, you're a bigot, and just turn you off. And I think the left has been not so great at doing that. I find that the left is kind of they're in an echo chamber a little bit. They listen to CNN and they don't ever watch Fox News. Well, I watch CNN, not all the time, but I also I have a balance. And they don't make up my mind for me, but at least I'm balanced. I want to know what the other arguments are, so that if I'm having an educated discussion, I can take those arguments apart. But I find that the left doesn't seem to always want to, and I'm generalizing, obviously, they're not as open to having those discussions and want to shut it down by saying you can't say that or we can't talk about that. So what do you think some of the really important discussions are that we're not having or having badly?
Well, and my conversations are probably going to come at things from a slightly different angle. What I'm hearing a lot, and what you were just talking about, Jim, are those us and them conversations that we have, whether we make it about the right or the left. And I actually find it kind of funny that you considered me on the left. I was definitely there in my teens.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's that Churchill. I call it the Churchill flip, but it's something like if you're not a socialist, or if how does
No,
it go?
when you're young, if you don't vote, you got to vote with your heart, which is left.
Yeah.
When you're grown up, when you're older, you vote with your head, which is right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, and I remember hitting in my 30s, having this realization that one or the other was not going to work. I needed to go down a path where I had both heart and brain, working. And so we need them both,
Definitely.
we need them both. But I definitely came from the right, there was a lot of blue in my green, let me tell you.
Oh. Okay, good.
But it's like, what has us having these us and them conversations all the time? So that's one of the conversations I think we should have. For me, as a parent, and becoming a parent shifted my worldview much more than I ever expected it would. So it's like, what kind of world do we want to leave for our kids? What do we need to be doing now? What does that world look like? We need to have some creation conversations about really what we all are committed to or not committed to leaving. And I think the other one is, you brought up everything's here, everything is available to us. Why aren't we thriving? Why aren't we thriving, in this space? So my conversations are probably a little different, they're not so much issue based, but really what's going on underneath? What is going on underneath, and where is it we want to go? Those are the conversations I think that will make a difference, for all of those other things.
Do you sense I believe, well, I'm sensing a lack of gratitude on both sides, but again, I'm more focused on the left because they irritate me a little bit more. This idea that, like, we don't live in a rape culture, okay? Women and minorities are not oppressed. They're not, yes, does discrimination happen? Absolutely. Does absolutely. Rape, that's horrible. But we don't live in a culture. You want to go to a rape culture? I can point to a couple countries where you can go and see where women are actually oppressed. So in the freest countries on earth, in North America, we have these ideologically possessed let's call them radicals on both sides, but I don't see them on the right so much. Like, you don't see KKK and white supremacists complaining that there's too many black people around. Like, I think you could fit the KKK in your standard Starbucks and you'd still have capacity for more people. Like, it just does. But on the left, this idea, yes, there's too many homeless. There's too many drug addicts. There's way too much mental illness. But look around you, man. These are the greatest times we've ever known. And I think, and Jordan Peterson brought me to this conclusion, you think you're going to make little tweaks to the system, but it's far easier to make a tweak that ruins the system than it is, like, if you got a system that's operating at 80% efficiency, let's say.
Okay.
To bring it to 82 or 84 or 85 without collapsing it is difficult. And it's far easier to tinker with something that's working pretty well and have it fail and backfire on you. I'm like, oh, yeah, and these people think they're going to kick out the foundations of Western civilization, traditions like mother and father of different sexes in a nuclear is that what nuclear? Yeah. Like a traditional family. You're going to kill God. And you think everything's going to be fine. And then you take father out and you put him in the workplace. You take mother out. Now you put her in the workplace. I don't think we've seen the full effect of what mom going to work has done to our kids. And I wonder, like, where's the gratitude? Like, why can't you step outside in New York City and look at these skyscrapers and go, It's a freaking miracle. I can flip a switch and lights come on. I touch a dial and my furnace kicks in. Everything's interconnected. We're almost eliminating poverty in the world. Like the UN had a 2015 deadline. They beat it by 3 years. We're connecting people to the grid. We're fresh water, poverty. And what's done it? Capitalism. And these guys are going around telling us we need more socialism. I just don't get it. So do you sense a lack of gratitude on both sides of people that just don't see the progress we've made? And Gary Vee or whoever it is asks this question, who is better off, you or your grandparents? Case made. What are you freaking complaining about? There's no Black Plague. There's no World War II. There's no, you don't have any problems. Except where you can get your next version of Jordan Air Nikes.
It makes me think of King Lear. Oh, reason not the need. Our basest beggar is in the poorest thing superfluous. That's, there's always more than we need. And, but sometimes it's not easy to get present to that, and when you are suffering, and people suffer in different ways. And I am not going to say it's not my place. Well, I do not feel it is my place if someone is suffering to say you should not be suffering. I can't always see whatever that thing is that's hurting them. And I think it's my job to listen, to that suffering and be with it. So, because that is their experience. And, I don't know what the experience of being a man is. I will never know what that is. I know what my experience as a white woman, a very privileged white woman, has been like. I can't know, what anybody else's is, but I can listen, I can hear. And I know the gift that I can give is to listen. It's been a gift today to listen to you really be passionate about the things that you're seeing and you're feeling just aren't working, in terms of being a man in the world, and listening to you talk about your faith and this sort of thing. And that's been a gift, that's something that I'm grateful for. And maybe the thing is to be grateful for those conversations, those opportunities that we have to sit with somebody who sees the world differently, whether it's left or right, that's a gift to be able to hear somebody else's experience, somebody else's view. Gratitude would make a difference. As a person of faith, we know these things. We know the difference, that it makes to be grateful and, be thankful to the source of that. But yeah, I don't know. Gratitude is a big thing.
I had a guest on, Ben Wilby, who's, I can call him a personal friend.
Okay.
We got to sniping on Facebook and Twitter quite a lot.
Oh, yes.
And he is a self-confirmed far lefty.
Okay.
And I kind of tune those people out now because they just don't bring anything to, or not only do they not bring anything in the conversation, they're unwilling to engage in a debate or a conversation to go to a better place or at least get the facts straight, right?
Yeah.
And so, he was the bigger man on Twitter one time and said to me, you know what, we should probably get together there, mate. He's from England. Where was he grow? Belfast? No. Belfast is Ireland. He grew up in England. I can't remember the town.
Okay.
And then he went to school in Afghanistan at a U.S. military high school there because it was the only one that spoke English. He was relocated by his mother. And he was talking about Thatcher.
Okay.
And Thatcher Milk Snatcher. Now, I don't know if you know this story, but that was her nickname for a long time. When she rose to, she was in the government before she was prime minister, and she ended the free milk program at schools. Austerity, he called it. And cut. And he saw how that impacted his family and all the families that were going to school that counted on free milk every day. It was a nutritious, it was just a thing. And his life experience, like I grew up in the north end of St. Catharines, very white, very privileged. I hate that word now. Um, I've always been a tall, white, semi-good look. Like I've got some gifts that I didn't ask for. I mean, I'm 6'4". I didn't do anything to get there. It's just how I turned out. And if that makes me privileged, then great. I want to use my privilege to my advantage whenever possible. But he really gave me a context for, oh, geez, you've lived it. You've actually experienced government cuts and how they affected a whole country.
Right.
So it's easy for me to sit back and go, oh, yeah, we don't want your taxes, your socialism, because that leads to, genocide or whatever. And he really had me go, oh, so there's good reason from where you come from. And I didn't know this. And again, you can't even say this without being pigeonholed and boxed in. But Jordan Peterson, in my quest for knowledge, I had two assumptions. I'm not sure that they're true, but I created two assumptions in my head, and then I went looking to solve it. Why were men and women so far apart and at each other's throats so much recently? And why, same thing for the political left and right. Why the divide? Why is it so deep and far apart? And why are we at each other's throats incessantly, it seems like? And I think, after doing all my research, that the assumption was a little bit of a lie, because there's been times where men and women and political left and right have been further apart. We've had civil wars, for crying out loud, right?
Yeah.
But this idea that the big five personality type, and this is one of the things, the gift of Jordan Peterson's, his university lectures, which I've seen everything he's done multiple times. Yeah. Because it didn't sink in the first time, because he uses language in a way that really, you have to, like, for a guy like me, I have to hear it a few times to really have it sink in, and for me to get the meaning of some of the big words that I don't understand. But we're actually born this way. We're born, conservatives are the conscientious, and I don't mean conscientious like they have a conscience. I mean conscientious personality type is orderly, industriousness, and blah, blah. They like their boxes. They like their rules. They like their faith, and then the women suffer for the majority. They don't have this obsessive drive to succeed all the time. They want to have families. There's other things are important to them, and that's okay. And this idea that men and women are the same and equal is just bizarre. Like, we're not equal. Yeah, should we be treated as equal? Yes. But men we do things better. We have proclivities that leave us down different roads. And it helped me to understand that the liberal mindset and the conservative mindset are birthed into you. Like you could have grown up in a conservative family and have a lot of blue in your green. That doesn't mean that you're going to stay that way forever. And that this hardwiring in the brain is actually done in the womb. Like, you're not taught how to be a lefty. You're actually think that way, and you have no control over it. And so I don't know where I fit into this, because I was programmed a lefty and then realized, wait a second, I'm more moderate or center right. Like, don't take my guns. Don't tell me there's hate speech. Don't tell me we oppress women. And if you tell me how, show me. I'll fight with you. Yeah. Like, nobody wants inequality. Yeah. So I just, that deep dive into the big five personality type taught me a lot. But this idea that, you can change your stripes isn't so easy, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Really interesting perspective, all of that. And you know what I'm thinking, like, as I'm listening here, it's like, I said before about I didn't fit on the left, I didn't fit on the right, I knew I needed both of those. Well, maybe we need all of that. We need all of that to make the world work. And going back to those conversations that I think we're not having the conversations about really what we want to create, the kind of world we want to have. And once we start having those conversations, maybe the stuff that needs to be cut becomes clearer. Maybe where we need austerity becomes clearer. Where we need to invest becomes clearer. And a lot of those other conversations, maybe they disappear. We realize that we all have a part to play. I don't know.
And I'm glad you said that, because that's part of what I've learned is that we need, Men need women. Women
Mm-hmm.
need men.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be a team, just
Mm-hmm.
like the left needs the right, because
Mm-hmm.
the left would have open borders, no ICE, no DEA, no immigration, no laws, no jails, no. If they had it their way, it'd just be a free for all. Anytime somebody felt oppressed or offended, we'd move the goalpost for them.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas on the right, they'd have so many rigid rules that no one would ever become an exception. And we need elements of both
Right.
political ideologies to make it something in the center, because, and this is part of my growth and my journey into the question of why are men and women, why are the political left and right,
Yeah.
what I learned, and I think I'm pretty sure this is fact, but as I speak it out, this is always a test for the truth,
Mm-hmm.
is that 95% of us are right here in the middle. Yeah, we're on
Yeah.
the left, we're on the right, but
Yeah.
like, even if you take the hardest pro-choicer and you say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, 9-month abortion,
Mm-hmm.
cool or no? Oh no, not cool. Okay, can we eliminate abortions after 6 months? Most pro-choicers would say, yeah, oh yeah, after 6 months. No, unless it's a medical necessity, make up your mind before 6 months. And
Mhm.
Crowder has taught me this a lot. Stephen Crowder, who is a Canadian transplant to the States, who's a right-leaning conservative,
Mm-hmm.
Christian pro-lifer. And this conversation that I never had before. Okay, so when's it life? Well, duh. For me, life is conception. Like, don't be stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And what I like about Crowder is in his conversation with people that he disagrees with, very often he'll back up to a point where they agree.
Yes. Yes.
And
yes.
then he'll take small baby steps to see
Yeah.
where the fork in the road comes.
Yeah.
And can we delay that fork until further by saying, okay, yeah, I could give you that.
Yeah.
I didn't know we didn't have a rule, like a law in Canada about abortions. I didn't, like, I mean, it was just never a concern of mine.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, the race statistics on white cops shooting black kids in the States is not what Black Lives Matter says. We don't live in a race. Yeah, are there racist cops? Yeah, but it's the small
Yeah.
minority. Cops are mostly good. And so the black community's been telling their kids, watch out for the cops or they'll shoot you. Well, what do you, and then we got, this guy just went into a police precinct the other day and unloaded his gun in New York City or something, because he's maybe been told his whole life the cops are out to get him.
Mm-hmm.
So we need each other, and I think that I've forgotten, or I didn't know, or I wasn't aware that most of us are moderately in the middle, and 95% of us, and I'm just throwing terms around, but the vast majority of us have overlapping beliefs, moral convictions, political aspirations or convictions, and that the majority in the middle, I call it the moderate middle, are looking to the left and the right extremists and going, you guys are nuts. Because we don't believe you, but they're so loud on the extremes.
Mm-hmm.
And again, there's so, like, when the bell curve goes like this, here's the moderate middle like this, and then as it goes out down into the end, these guys out here are making all the noise.
Right.
The silent majority is sitting there on their hands going, no, I just want to go to work. I just want to have a good life. I just want to throw on the switch and have my lights come on. I just want to be healthy and happy. And that's all that matters to me. And I think I've lost track about the moderate middle that is just sitting there going, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to sit here.
But you know what? There is so much for humanity in general that is common. And I loved what you were saying about backing up to that point, where we do agree, where we've got this firm foundation. Yes. Yeah, we're all here. And that makes the stuff that we disagree on, it makes it a lot smaller, and we can see more clearly what those granular things are once we're from that base point, people around the world. Like, I spent 2 years traveling all over, with my kids. I really wanted to give them a global education. I wanted them to see more than they were seeing, in 40 years growing up there. And, all over the world, parents love their kids, people want educations. People are there for other human beings that they don't know. Some of the most meaningful moments for me when I was traveling was when stuff went really, really wrong. And I remember really kind of hoping for my kids that they'd see these things when they happen, because you are vulnerable. You are so vulnerable when this happens, and you have to rely on complete strangers to help you out. We're down in Mexico. We drove down to Mexico, and we're out in this area that we've got no cell phone service, blow a tire, you know. And, there's all those stories that we hear. We can go into that. That can be our context for the experience. But you know what? People stopped. People helped us. It was an ordeal. It took about 20 people over 4 hours to actually get us back on the road. There were so many points where we could have been taken advantage of. We weren't. People were there for us. That humanity, that connection, that love, that helping strangers, the Good Samaritan, it was there. 20 people in so many different contexts helped us get back on the road. They saw us as human beings. They saw us as their neighbor. They saw us. That's how they saw us.
Yeah, I think we forget
how
that.
so much of the world is.
What do we need? An alien invasion for us to get that we're all brothers and sisters and that we need to protect each other? Because you know what? We get lost in this, especially on social media with the sniping. You're like, oh, this is a faceless troll account. I don't care. We forget that there's a human attached to it that actually has feelings. And you forget that these people have the same wants and needs as you have. They want a good, peaceful life. They want to be loved and connected. And the isolation that we feel, and I've been feeling it lately by forced isolation, is because that is the road to hell. Being alone and isolated and cut off from your community, whether you force it on yourself or not, which I have kind of lately because, and I have a lie that I've kind of created in my life. I hate people. It's so stupid because I love people, but everything that I do points to my love for people. But if I say I hate people, I can get away with not going to anything. I don't have to go to any wedding. I stopped going to weddings years ago. I went to Yoga by Sarah's wedding. That was the only wedding I've gone to recently. For whatever reason, she got married. Walter married her at City Hall, which was a huge step for me. It's just this idea even in real estate. I hate real estate. My mother used to say that it'll be 10 years since my mother died next week. Unbelievable. Way too early. But she used to say, you know what, Jimmy, you don't hate real estate. Yet when you're cashing necks and snapping checks, you love real estate. What you don't like is when you have to dig yourself out of the hole and you're slow and you got to get down in the dirt and actually work. That's what you don't like.
The work. So maybe it's the context of doing the work, that needs to change. One of the things they talk about in Landmark is the power of changing context, and because within some context, only certain possibilities can be present. Like if we have a circle here, and its color, and let's say blue and yellow exist in it. All that we've got possible, blue, yellow, and maybe green, so we have to shift the context, and then, other possibilities can be present. So, I heard you talking about, there were parts of your mother's story there about the hard work of it that may not be an exciting context that has you want to get out of bed in the morning when it comes to real estate.
Having said that,
if
you got any work for me, just let it.
Maybe the context needs to change. Who knows?
Yeah,
but
awesome.
We are at 12:11 here. We have been talking for over an hour, and I think we could talk for days, Jim.
Yeah, awesome. Let's book part 2 of it after we go to your session 10 for communication seminar, is it?
This is the Forum in Action seminar.
Forum in Action, correct.
Yep,
okay.
yep.
I'm really looking forward to it, and I was a guy that you thought that I would be up at the microphone all the time in my Landmark Forum.
Yeah.
Never spoke once.
Really?
No, never shared once. I did most of the work. On the way home, I was thinking, what a waste of money. And then it started to crash on me. And it's one of the most impactful things that I've ever done in my life, and I've gotten away from it and the possibility of leading people to it. So I'm really looking forward to coming with you on the 18th, and I'm grateful
All
for
right.
riding up with you too, because that helps me a lot, and it'll give us a chance to get caught up. So let's book
Okay.
part 2 after that. But I appreciate your
All
time.
right.
Contact for anybody who wants to get a hold of you later.
For me?
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say here.
I'll find her on Facebook. Kay Green is my guest. I appreciate your time, Kay.
Right.
All right.
Thanks, Jim.
We'll talk soon. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. How do you work this thing? Oh, there we go. Kay Green. Cool conversation. An hour 13. So that's good. Thank you, YouTube. We'll check you later. I will upload this so you can see her face later. And it looks like I didn't shave today. I got a few surprises coming up for you there, kids. All right, so get with me later. 7 o'clock tonight, I'm going to make this conversation live on YouTube so that you can see Kay Green's face, okay? I'm not playing any music for you today. I'm just getting out. Peace.